graduates. We open with the logo of Guiding Eyes for the Blind. Then a photograph in the background shows a grove of trees and an old stone wall and says Guiding Eyes for the Blind presents the October 2017 graduating class. First, Richard and Leon, his black lab, are walking down the pavement towards us. Here they've stepped up on a curb and Richard leans down to pat Leon on the head. Now they're walking down the street of a residential area in bright sunshine. Here they're walking in front of a storefront on a sidewalk in an urban area. Here the team walks through a mall past a jewelry store. We extend congratulations to Leon's Razors, the Henry Vanderminden family. Next we have Alysha and Claire walking through a grassy area. Claire is a yellow lab. Here they're walking through an urban area on a crosswalk made of brick. Here they're out for a run. Alysha wears a blind runner's safety vest and Claire wears the running harness. Next, Alysha sits on the floor cross-legged at the training school with Claire in her lap, enjoying a quiet moment. And here we have the biggest doggy smile ever on Claire as she plays in the dog runs. And we'd like to congratulate Betty Goldfarb and the Array family, her razors. Anne and Black Lab Lennox are about to enter into an office through a glass door. Here they're walking down a pathway with woods to their left side. Here they're in a library surrounded by books and children's tables. Anne and Lennox sit on an outdoor bench posed in front of an evergreen tree. Here, Lennox finds a nice warm spot on a hardwood floor in the sunshine. We'd like to congratulate the Razors, Diane Stetson, and the Array family. Next is Deirdre and Cappy, a German Shepherd walking across the crosswalk of an urban street. Here they're walking down the sidewalk, coming towards us. Here they're walking down an urban street, and to their left is a low fence with a landscaped area. Here Deirdre and Cappy are sitting on the floor at the training school. Deirdre sits at a chair while Cappy stands in front of her looking directly at the camera. We'd like to congratulate Amy S. Thaler, Blythe Windle, and Terry Binder, the Razors. Next is Katherine and Gianna. Gianna is a yellow lab and they're walking down an urban sidewalk. Now they're walking across a parking lot with cloudy skies in the background. Now Katherine and Gianna have just stepped off a curb and are walking into a street. Gianna stares intently up at Katherine as she works a crosswalk button. Katherine sits and Gianna stands next to her on a flat stone wall overlooking a city. Congratulations to the Razors, the Pryor family. Ken and his guide dog Winnie, a yellow lab, are about to enter a crosswalk. Here they're walking through a residential section with foliage behind them. Here they're running down a path, Ken wearing the blind safety vest and Winnie wearing the runner's harness. Here they're walking down an urban street towards us. Next we see Ken's legs sitting in a chair with Winnie at his feet staring at the camera. We congratulate Winnie's Razors, Mr. and Mrs. Ron Daniels. Next we see Krissy and Quest, a black lab, walking down a path away from us, adjacent to a lake. Krissy and Quest look into a large tank at an aquarium. Here they're walking towards us down a very long sidewalk in a residential area. They pose in a grassy area with Krissy kneeling and Quest beside her. Krissy and Quest greet children coming off of a school bus, and we congratulate the Ambergers, Kayla Wollenweber, the Hugels, and Waco, and Mike Muchmore, the Raisers. Next, we have Lona and Raisin, a black lab, walking down a sidewalk. Next, they're in a coffee shop. Lona holds a coffee, while Raisin sits patiently at her feet. Lona and Raisin are walking down a sidewalk in a residential area. Here, they are on a sidewalk, and Lona is giving Raisin a good job pat on the side. Raisin covets a toy bone happily in a grassy area. Congratulations to the Raiser Deb Dick. Next we have Michelle and Ella, a black lab, who are just coming around the corner of a curved sidewalk. Now they're walking through a residential community with curving but no sidewalk. Now Ella is practicing good skills in front of a wall of mailboxes. Now they walk across a crosswalk in a residential community. Here they stand on the curbing as Ella looks back at Michelle. We congratulate the Raisers, Mary Ellen and Barry Pratt. Next we have Nikolaos and Pearl with their trainer walking through a crosswalk of an urban area. Nikolaos and Pearl are walking towards us on a sidewalk. Pearl is a yellow lab. Here we see them passing by us, walking down a sidewalk of an urban area. Here they sit outside of Alumni Hall, both looking straight at the camera. Here as they approach the curb, Pearl turns back and looks at Nikolaos. Congratulations to the Raisers, the Jolly family. Now we see Robert and Ari, a black lab, coming down the sidewalk of a developed area. Now the two are navigating the aisles of Home Depot. Now we see them from behind, walking down a long sidewalk with shrubbery to their right. Now we see them coming down an outdoor stone staircase. Here we see Ari running towards us with a red ball in his mouth, looking very happy. Congratulations to the Raiser and Headland. The next team is also a Robert and Andy, and they are coming across a busy intersection with their trainer. Andy is a black lab, and he and Robert are coming towards us through a crosswalk. Now we see them about to enter into their dormitory room. Here they're walking through a residential section full of trees, bushes, and houses. Now we see Andy looking up at the camera with a very big smile on his face. Congratulations to his Raiser, Joey McCain. Here we see Shelby and Cole approaching an intersection in an urban area. Cole is a black lab, and he and Shelby are just stepping off of a curb into the street. Here they navigate past people and traffic in a crosswalk made of brick in an urban area. They are coming towards us, walking down the hallway of Guiding Eyes, and Cole looks to Shelby attentively. Cole is on top of a blue plastic platform. He has an orange ball between his paws, and other dogs are playing around him. Congratulations, Kevin Bursch and Tyler Hoskins, the Raisers. Next is Valarie Irvin, a black lab, walking towards us down a sidewalk with buildings and cars in the background. Here they navigate around the back of a red car, which is jutting out into the sidewalk. Here they are just about to step off of the curb to cross a street. Now, Irvin turns towards Valarie as they have just stepped up on a curb. And finally, we have them posing for the camera, both looking very happy, sitting on a bench. Congratulations to Irvin's Razors, Caitlin and Craig Gallagher. Next, we have Vanessa and Riley, a yellow lab, who are crossing a busy street in an urban area. Now we see them walking towards us up a driveway in a residential area. Vanessa and Riley are looking towards each other as they walk down the halls of Guiding Eyes. Here, Vanessa is giving Riley a pat out on the sidewalk for a job well done. At the entrance to the White Plains facility, Riley waits patiently. Congratulations, Anna and Melissa Coleman, the Razors. Next, Virginia and Felipe walk down a crowded sidewalk with their trainer. Here, Virginia leans over and gives Felipe a very big hug around the neck. The team navigates an intersection, busy with cars and people. Felipe looks straight ahead as they navigate a sidewalk full of obstacles. In the runs, Felipe has a brown toy hanging out of the side of his mouth that resembles a cigar. Congratulations to his razor, Lisa Gaskin. In the class portrait, the students are lined up with their dogs seated in front of them and the training staff behind them. We thank this month's sponsors for their generosity. Congratulations to all October graduates. May your future journeys together be filled with trust, joy, and mutual love. We wish you all the best. John and Lynn Dillon. We gratefully acknowledge the Fane family for their support of our online streaming capabilities. The blue and white logo of Guiding Eyes for the Blind. Congratulations, graduates. We open with the logo of Guiding Eyes for the Blind. Then a photograph in the background shows a grove of trees and an old stone wall and says Guiding Eyes for the Blind presents the October 2017 graduating class. First, Richard and Leon, his black lab, are walking down the pavement towards us. Here they've stepped up on a curb and Richard leans down to pat Leon on the head. Now they're walking down the street of a residential area in bright sunshine. Here they're walking in front of a storefront on a sidewalk in an urban area. Here the team walks through
Munier, who put together a tremendous slideshow with our first ever audio descriptive track. Thank you, Michelle. My name is Jolene Hollister. I've had the pleasure of being the class supervisor for this amazing group of students graduating here today. Today we recognize 16 teams between our residential, home training, and special needs programs. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our graduates. From Binghamton, New York, Ken Fernald and Winnie. From Venus, Texas, Shelby Edwards and Cole. From Mount Hope, West Virginia, Allie Farnsworth and Claire. From Harrisonburg, Virginia, Rob Monroe and Andy. From Tacoma, Washington, Deirdre Maxwell and Cappy. From Gloucester City, New Jersey, Rick Ross and Leon. From Las Vegas, Nevada, Vanessa Rosado and Riley. From Troy, New York, Jeannie Tirado and Felipe. From Manchester, Connecticut, Nico Avayotis and Pearl. Also being recognized today from our special needs program, from Albany Township, Maine, Ann Nicholson and Lennox. They were home trained by special needs instructor Julie Engel. From Mercerville, New Jersey, Lona Sanchez and Raisin, home trained by special needs instructor Susan Croha. Graduating from our home training program today, from Cincinnati, Ohio, Katherine Gianna and Gianna, home trained by home training instructor Megan Crowley. From Moyock, North Carolina, Krissy Hancock and Quest, home trained by Assistant Director of Training Graham Buck. From Peoria, Arizona, Michelle Franklin and Ella, trained by Field Representative Mike Gehring. And also from Peoria, Arizona, Robert Herrera and Ari, trained by Field Representative Mike Gehring. And last but certainly not least, we recognize Valarie Anderson and Irvin from Exeter, Ontario, Canada, who were trained by Director of Home Training James Gardner. And at this time, I'm going to turn the mic over to our President and CEO, Tom Panic.
Well, good afternoon and welcome everyone to Guiding Eyes for the Blind. Thank you for being here today, and graduates, congratulations. What a wonderful moment for all of you to be here together celebrating. I'd like to start the program by saying this is a program, a lot of firsts, and I'm glad that you can all celebrate with us because first time we had an audio description of a video, and for those of you who haven't experienced audio description, it's how many people with vision loss enjoy visual media, including going to the movies, for example. So special thanks for putting that together. And it's also a first. We're going to have a very special treat in a little moment, and then a special treat at the end too. Dave, a puppy raiser, for the first time, we're going to have a puppy raiser speak to us. I'm looking forward to all of it. Hang in there. We got a great agenda for this graduation. I'd like to kick off with a thank you to John and Lynn Dillon from McLean, Virginia, for sponsoring today's graduation. A warm round of applause. I'm going to wave to John and Lynn at home. My family and I moved from McLean in that neighborhood, so as we say, hi from across the Potomac. I'd like to next thank a very special guest of ours, somebody who special named a dog. So you can special name a dog. Did everybody know that you can special name a dog? It's a program that allows you to name a dog, choose a name of your choosing, most likely. Hopefully it's a name that works, maybe your favorite movie or a person that you want to recognize, a loved one, in memory of somebody. It's a great way to follow the progress of a puppy to be a guide dog. And we typically look at names that work for the graduate, of course. And you look at some of our puppies now. We have, for example, Matrix, named after a movie. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You don't want to name a dog R2-D2 or anything like that. But at the end of the day, we have to call the dog its name a lot, like Gus here at my side. And so I'd like to recognize the Nakamura family for naming Cappy. Thank you so very, very much for naming him. Elaine and Cooney and the family, Kaylee, Eddie's here as well. Also, home socialized puppies. How many of you home socialized puppies? Anybody home socialized puppies? It's a wonderful way to help us get the puppies on the right start through our successive training and enrichment program. It's a whole lot of fun to see those puppies make a puppy pile, right? Yeah. It's a little bit of work, too, on the other end when there's a pile of something else, too, right? But it's a wonderful way to contribute to Guiding Eyes for the Blind. My family also puppy socializes, so thank you to TJ, Madeline, Melissa, and Timmy for helping us out early mornings before they go to school, they dive in. So thank you so much for that. Everybody who home socializes, we really, truly appreciate it. Spread the word. We're always looking for more home socializers. Ellen Mitchell is here and can help any volunteer seek an additional volunteer opportunity. So thank you for that as well. I'd like to next talk about a very special program that Guiding Eyes has. So we have 16, as you heard Jolene, 16 graduates this month, which is absolutely fantastic. And a lot of effort and energy goes into helping that many individuals with vision loss obtain a guide dog. This year, we are targeting, Kathy, 170 guide dogs, the most ever. And as we say, that takes a village. It really does. It takes a community of people working together to make that happen. And as we go forward, we have several programs that we like to engage with our students to meet their needs. We're all here to support our graduates. And one of the programs that we have, of course, that you're familiar with, all of you in the room today, is a residential program where 3 weeks ago, graduates, we were in the kitchen together, and I said, this day will come. Through hard work and determination, you'll get here, and you did. We also have another program called the Home Training Program. And this is a program for people that are not necessarily able to come to the school, but it might be more convenient for them to be trained at home. And we have field representatives and instructors that go to individuals' homes throughout the United States, and they work with individuals in their home environment, starting from bringing the dog all the way through graduation. And I'm very pleased to highlight that program today. I'm going to talk about two individuals, our first married couple, that are first-time guide dog users for Guiding Eyes for the Blind, trained by a very talented field representative, action instructor, other home trainer called Mike Gearing. So first, let's just give Mike a warm round of applause for his work. Now, the two individuals, Michelle is somebody who enjoys baking, and Michelle has dialysis 3 times a week, and so she was worried that she wouldn't be able to get a guide dog. But because of our home training program, we were able to serve and provide her with her guide dog, Ella. And also her husband, Rob, has Ari. And Rob, what a guy. Rob was a welder, had a welding business, had a laceration, got infected, lost his right leg, walks with this prosthetic. And with courage and determination, Rob is graduating today with Ella. So the two of them live in Arizona, outside of Phoenix, and through the wonders of modern technology, we're going to dial in with them. How does that sound? Good? All right, so. Rob and Michelle, nice to meet you virtually. Mike, how you doing out there?
I'm here.
Good. Sounds like you're doing well. I know it's like breakfast time in Arizona, but we appreciate you joining us. And I wanted to just tell 2 quick stories. The first has to do with Home Depot, one of my favorite places, and the other has to do with a very early morning wake up. So, Mike, if we can hear you a little bit, maybe you can tell us the first story about waking up at 3:30 in the morning. That sounds like an early one.
I'll let Rob tell his story.
Rob, go for it.
All right. Well, my wife has dialysis, and she has it like at 6:30 in the morning, so she wakes up at 3. Well, I have Ari in my room, and he knows that she's out there with Ellie, and I said, no, we're not going to eat until 5. And they calm down, relax, and he started licking the back of my head. And I'm like, no, Ari, no. And all of a sudden, he just lets out this huge, arf! And I'm like, whoa. okay, I get it. 3 o'clock in the morning is the time to get up. So he wakes up Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And unfortunately, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and Sunday too.
Thank you, Rob, for sharing that. And the other, no snooze button there on Ari, huh? The other story that I really enjoyed, Mike, was when you were in Home Depot with Michelle. Do you all want to tell us that story? Because I got a real chuckle out of it.
We went on a training expedition to Home Depot. There was a lot of obstacles. If you've ever been to Home Depot, they're famous for that. And me and Ellie got stuck between this obstacle, and she had no clue what to do. But we were right by the racks that had all the wood stacked up. Mm-hmm. So she said, "Oh, I see light." And she jumps up on the boards and tries to pull me through the racks.
She thought it was a shortcut, right? Well, let's give a warm round of applause to both of our. I'd like to next introduce our Vice President of Training Programs, Kathy Zubricki, who recently came back from Switzerland. We do a lot of international work. Kathy helped to assess the Swiss school. I think they had five graduates at that school. So a lot of what Guiding Eyes does is shares our knowledge, best practices, breeding, as well as know-how with the world. So with a warm round of applause, celebrating her 30th year this Thursday, Kathy Zubricki.
Thank you, Tom, and welcome everyone to this very happy occasion. What we at Guiding Eyes are able to achieve is because others have helped, and I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge a very special group of people with very generous hearts who have made this day a reality, actually a dream come true, and that's our puppy raisers. And I'd like to ask all our puppy raisers to please stand up. It's so wonderful to see you all here today, and thank you. I'd like to say, by opening your hearts and your homes to a Guiding Eyes puppy, to care for, to raise, and to love, for someone that you knew needed you but you had yet to meet, you've given a tremendous life-changing gift. And I'd like to share with you some thoughts by one of our recent graduates. Puppy raisers like yourselves play such an integral role in preparing these remarkable dogs to be our guides. The words "thank you" doesn't seem to be enough to show my appreciation for the gift my puppy raisers have given me, the time that they have taken to ensure that I can travel safely every day is absolutely incredible and unforgettable. And that's so true. And I agree with her as well. Thank you. Doesn't seem to be enough. But thank you, and know that we are deeply grateful for each and every one of you. And a round of applause again. And I'm also delighted to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank another group of very important people who have made this day a reality, and that's our instructors. Teamwork is defined as the willingness of a group of people to work together toward a common goal. Joe, Lori, Louise, and Katherine, you have fully embraced what it means to be a team for the success of your students and their dogs. And I'm so pleased and so proud to be able to take this moment to thank you for everything you've done to prepare these teams for their new lives together. So thank you. And that's the fan club for Team October. And now to the graduates, congratulations, this is your day. Relish this moment that you have worked so hard for. Take pride in how far you've come, and know that with faith in yourself and your new guide dog, there's no limit to how far you can go. On behalf of the entire Guiding Eyes staff here in Yorktown, Patterson, and our many remote staff, congratulations and warm wishes for your continued success. And I'd like to close with a quote by Deepak Chopra. Giving connects two people, the giver and the receiver, and this connection gives birth to a new sense of belonging. And this is what I believe we're here to celebrate today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kathy. And that's just a small taste of more to come, I'm sure. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic over to our first graduate speaker, Shelby.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is my first guide dog. I'm really nervous. The last 3 weeks have been crazy, exciting. I made wonderful friends and met awesome trainers. I'm kissing up some.
If I don't do this, just slide yourself a little to the right.
This way? Okay.
There we go. Now
Okay. All right.
There we
Cool. Now y'all can hear me more. Okay. So like I said, my first guide dog. All right. So as a blind individual, my whole life, I have always wanted something more than I get now. I've always wanted the independence that I never really truly got. I've known about guide dogs since I was 7. I first learned about them at a conference I went to. So as I got older, I wanted to know what it would be like to be able to be independent. So I had the idea of getting one myself. And now you see me standing before you. I made the choice of Guiding Eyes, one of the best guide dog schools in my opinion. I just want to thank my friends and family at home. Hi to guys online. And I want to thank the puppy raisers who raise these amazing, gonna cry. Anyway, these amazing loving animals who, you dedicate your lives to these dogs for a big majority of time and help them become who they are today. I also want to say a special thank you to the staff, and I have some gifts for you guys. Jolene, Catherine, Lori, and Louise. You guys put up with us for the last 3 weeks. Come on now. We're crazy, energetic, and I have, on behalf of the graduating class of October 2017, I almost said 13, I have a card for you, and I also have one for the kitchen staff. So one of you guys come up and get these. Thank you so much.
I'm going to give you a gift.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you too. I want to say thank you guys and congratulations, class.
We got Shelby so emotional, she forgot to introduce Ken. Ken Fernald.
I don't know, can't follow an emotional young lady like that. I don't know. Let me get my stuff to work here. Well, good afternoon. My name is Ken Fernald, and I have a new girlfriend. right here on the ground beside me. Don't worry, I broke the news to my wife, Amy, about 3 weeks ago on Dog Day. This is when I met a very pretty little blonde named Winnie. She immediately swept me off my feet, and I've been head over heels for her ever since. We've gotten to know each other pretty well over the last 3 weeks, sharing basically a hotel room for a while, so we got to know each other very well. I must tell you, it didn't take me very long at all to realize that she is a lot smarter than I am. We've all learned so much. I'm not sure about the rest of the class, but it took me at least the first week to feel a little less overwhelmed. Up at 6 a.m., not before, can't disturb our neighbor's pups. Park, water, feed, park again. Parking, for those who don't know, is getting your dog to do its business. Then off to obedience training. Pretty straightforward once you figure it out. You think you're doing pretty well. And then Jolene, Lori, Louise start putting a dog in a crate in the middle of the room. Walking through with loose dogs, and I just lost my spot. There we go. Okay, you think you're doing pretty well, and then Jolene, Lori, and Louise start putting dogs in a crate in the middle of the room, walking through with loose dogs and bouncing tennis balls next to you and your new partner while we try to get our dogs to sit, lay down, stay, and heel. And then they break out the big guns, our dog's favorite squeaky toys, and Gomez the cat. So that was especially challenging. 8 o'clock, we load up in vans and we're off to White Plains for the day to learn routes, street crossings, navigating busy sidewalks with many obstacles, pedestrians, and yes, more dogs, birds, and oh yeah, more dogs popping up at the end of a leash by a trainer, unexpectedly, maybe at a street crossing to get our dogs' attention and get them trained very well for us. So there's this thing called a Juno walk. No dog, just a trainer at the end of a leash and a harness. Don't get me wrong, this is a great teaching technique. I just can't imagine what the customers in Macy's thought when I'm riding up and down the escalator with Louise, holding her arm as if it's a harness with a leash in my hand, saying forward, left to the steps. Good girl, Juno. Winnie is my first guide dog, and I'm so grateful and fortunate to have been accepted into this program. I've been legally blind since I was a young child, and as my vision has worsened over the last several years, I've had to adjust many things to maintain my independence at home, at work, and at play. As I lose more vision, I thought running independently had become a thing in the past for me. My choices were a treadmill, running on a high school track, or running tethered to a guide runner. Doable, but not much fun when training for a half marathon. Now, thanks to Guiding Eyes and their new running program, not only will I have enhanced independence in my everyday life, I'll be able to walk out my front door and run with Winnie in my neighborhood, either by myself or with friends. This defines independence and freedom for me. My classmate and new friend, Allie, is also in the running program, and I think it's safe to say that we were both on cloud 9 the first day we were able to run with our new partners. I would like to thank all of the donors that generously support Guiding Eyes for the Blind. You make a difference in so many lives. Thank you to the puppy raisers and volunteers. You are the building blocks for great dogs like my Winnie. Mostly, I want to thank the trainers that work with our class, Louise, Lori, Katherine, and especially Jolene. You made a huge difference in all of our lives. We learned a lot and had a lot of fun along the way. Thank you to Nick. He trained with Winnie and then with me, and then with both of us as a team to be sure that we had the skills to run safely together. I don't think I can actually describe the feeling of actually running a few miles on the running trail the first time, and then realizing that I couldn't even walk that trail without Win at my side. A huge thank you needs to go out to the kitchen staff and the nursing staff. You kept us healthy and nourished and were so kind and accommodating. We were a pretty picky and choosy bunch when it came to dinner, I can tell you. Guiding Eyes is a high-performing organization. And as you know, there are many ways to measure performance. but in this case, I'm referring to the high-performing staff. The level of commitment that I witnessed over these 3 weeks is outstanding and is the engine that drives this organization to success. Tom, you have every reason to be proud. Congratulations to all of my fellow graduates, human and canine. Best of luck to all of you.
Ken, that's cheating. Not even halfway through yet. Thank you for those kind words. At this time, I'm going to turn the mic over to Carrie Lemerise, Puppy Program Manager, to make the presentation of photos and certificates to the puppy raisers.
Jolene and I were fighting for the tissue box. I can tell you that having done this for 16-ish years now, I still cry at every graduation, so if I break down partway through, my apologies. But I'm sure I won't be the only one in the room. So on behalf of the Guiding Eyes for the Blind Canine Development Center, I would like to extend our sincere and heartfelt congratulations to this month's graduating class. It's a real privilege for me to be here today to share this day with each and every one of you. I'd also like to thank our team of over 1,400 devoted volunteers, our generous donors, our dedicated staff who make the journey of a Guiding Eyes puppy possible every step of the way. From our brood stud foster families, early socializers, home litter care families, puppy sitters, region coordinators, kennel and administrative volunteers here in Yorktown and in Patterson, tour leaders, ambassadors. As we all like to say, it does take a village, as you can imagine from that list. And finally, thank you to our puppy raisers, who are, of course, near and dear to my heart, who give the ultimate gift of raising a potential guide dog. Here we go. So please, everyone who volunteers in some capacity, this is your time to stand and get recognized. And if you're a volunteer, a puppy raiser, or staff member at home, stand up at home and clap as well. Let's quick round of applause for everyone who volunteers, please. Okay, so now Jolene, with the box of tissues, can help me to present our puppy raisers, their certificates and photos. This is where y'all go, ooh. All right, and as we, let me pronounce the name and then we'll clap, clap, clap. So first we have Guiding Eyes Andy, raised in the Montgomery region by Jody McCain. I believe Jody was not able to be with us today. And Guiding Eyes Cappy, raised also in the Montgomery region by Amy Thaler and Terry Binder. So you can come on up, Amy, we're gonna make you stand. I forgot to say that some of our puppies are raised by more than one person, so you can imagine that we may have some longer lists here. Guiding Eyes Clare, raised in Northern Connecticut by Betty Goldfarm and the Airy family. Betty's on your left. There we go. Raisers Kevin Biersch and Tyler Hoskins from the Leatherstocking region raise Cole. Lisa Gaskin from the Bay region raised Felipe. Now watch my Massachusetts accent come into play here. The Henry Vanderminden family, did I get it? Raised Leon from the Adirondack region. And the Jolly family from the Bay region, raisers of Pearl. Anna Coleman from my backyard, New Hampshire, raiser of Riley. Laura Daniels, driving all the way from North Carolina, raiser of Winnie. So that is all of our class raisers. Now we'll go into the home training group. So raiser Ann Hendland from the Dutchess region, who raised Ari. Not able to join us today. Raisers Mary Ellen and Barry Pratt from the Erie region raised Ella. The Pryor family from the Lower Westchester region raised Gianna. Caitlin and Craig Gallagher from Eastern Mass raised Irvin. And Diane Stetson and the Ari family again from Northern Connecticut raised Lennox. So here's one that takes a true village because we all got together for this one. Kayla Woolen-Weber from Virginia Beach, Fred and Ann Hugel from the Bay region, Ann Wacko and Mike Muchmore from the Maine region, and Janet and Larry Amberger from the Maine region all combined their talents to raise Quest. And last but not least, Deb Dick from the Maine region helped to raise Raisin. Okay, now I will start crying because little babies are coming. So remember, from small beginnings come great things. I would like to introduce our two future guide dogs visiting today, Mac and Micah. I have to put in a plug when we have cute little puppies. Please spread the word that we are always actively recruiting volunteer puppy raisers. Come and talk to me if you know anyone. We are always welcoming new folks to our Guiding Eyes family. At the end of graduation, the two little guys will be available for autographs in the Canine Salon, which is at the end of the hallway. Can I smooch? Thank you. Okay, and our quick puppy program quote is, while there are many different roads that we take in life, it's those who walk with us that make the journey worthwhile. So thank you for being on the journey with us.
I'm not sure if I should leave the tissues here or hand them back to Carrie. Okay, we're good. All right. I look forward to seeing those two cuties in a couple of years, hopefully under chairs up front here. It's now my pleasure to introduce our next graduate speaker, Rob Monroe. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. There you go. Sit.
There's an old saying in show business that you should never go on after children or animal acts. Those puppies are a double threat. My classmates have spoken eloquently this afternoon about the freedom that a guide dog brings, how thrilling it can feel to just float down a sidewalk, to run, for God's sakes. That is something that I had never imagined before. It's apparently a new program here, and it just blew my mind completely. What I'd like to talk about is a little something different that I noticed after having my first guide dog for a while. This hooligan here is my third. I won't say his name because they'll think he wants me to do something. I want him to do something. I noticed that people would never come up to me just because I had a white cane. It helped me get around, but it seemed to be acting as a barrier, keeping people from talking to me. People definitely come up and talk to me just because I have a dog, which used to bother the heck out of me. Why can't these people mind their own business? I came over time to find that these people fell into one of two classes. Either I would never see them again, in which case it was not worth getting upset about, or that these people would live near me or work near me and they would become friends. People who could possibly help me from time to time, but certainly talk and exchange stories about their dogs or their families or other things, all because the dog was with me to break the ice. And that is the important thing, the human connections that a guide dog brings. Because independence and self-sufficiency are important for blind people, and we should strive for them. They're necessary, but they're not enough, because you can use them as either a mask to hide fear, no, I don't need help, or as an excuse not to engage with people. No, I don't need your help, I can do it myself. But the world is much richer when you are connected with the people around you, that your circle of family or friends expands, and that maybe you can help people from time to time in exchange, or maybe just listen. My dogs have led me over bridges to new human connections just as surely as they have led me down the street. Maybe there's an occasional traffic check, but we get there with smiles on our faces. And I want to take this time to say thank you to those many hundreds of you, over 1,400, that make this all possible. Because my life is incredibly the better for all the work that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And now we're going to pass the mic over to Allie Farnsworth, the last of our graduate speakers.
I was asked to share a little story with you. A year ago today, I'm driving my kids to school, working on lesson plans for my music class, attending meetings for the evening program I run, making dinner for my family before heading to church, and I enjoy evenings playing games or watching TV with my husband. I'm juggling family, church, music school, rehearsals, work, and I'm fully sighted. A month ago today, I'm just home from the hospital, having had 5 surgeries on my eyes since Christmas. I'm totally blind in my left eye, with 2 degrees field of vision in my right. I have not left my house, or honestly my chair after dark in months because I'm totally night blind. And after a burn to my hand, injuring my arm, falling downstairs, tripping and more, I'm afraid of another injury. My family is mourning the loss of the mommy and wife they once had, and I am mourning more losses than I can count, such as seeing my children's facial expressions, reading music, driving, independence, providing for my family, and sometimes a loss of hope. A week ago, I was here, loving training and learning so much and soaking it all up, even though it's all so new. But then one night, these trainers, they tell me they're going to load me in a van and we're going to go on a walk in the dark. So they put me in this van, probably shaking, with a few classmates, and they drove me to this route we had walked early in the day. One of them sitting, wrapping their arm around me the whole way. The driver's trying her best to come up with motivational music she can find, and we have a comedian in the front seat doing her thing. But the ride there was torture, because I'm totally blind and outside at night for the first time, and I can't even determine which way is up. But with lots of encouragement and puppy petting, we make it to our destination. My classmates unload, and then the trainers reload in the van with me, telling me that I can do it, encouraging me. And then the really not fair part, asking me to name my children's names as reasons why I'm going to get out of the van. I can't explain what it's like to tell your guide dog forward when all you want to do is turn on the lights that are now forever off. How hard it is to take a step when you are certain there's no ground in front of you. But with a support leash clipped on and surrounded by my own personal Secret Service, these three, Claire and I, took a step, and then another, and then another. And as we traveled towards the end of the sidewalk, with kindness and love from these three, every time they saw the panic rising again, suddenly I realized we were doing it. And I bent over and said to my girl, Claire, you're gonna change my life. And she has. But it isn't just her. It's the puppy raisers who cleaned up the messes through the nights and taught her very first sit. The admissions department, the nurses, the kitchen staff, the program developers, the running coach, and these three trainers who poured their heart and soul into what Guiding Eyes is, have changed my life. They have changed my children's life. And for that, I am forever grateful.
Yeah, well, so at the beginning of class, I was asked, you don't say that's a tough act to follow with the puppies, do you? I didn't say it to the puppies, Shelby. But, yeah, so I'm going to attempt to move on now. But before I do move on to graduation, presentation to the graduates, I must make a special thank you to Christina Fiel, who is here with us today. She's a member of our Guiding Eyes family who works at the local Hendrick Hudson school system and was able to arrange for Allie to have the violin to play for the last 2 weeks while she was here. So thank you very much. I don't know if I can say any more words than I think Allie put it in better words than I could ever do to thank the amazingly talented and dedicated staff that I have worked with this month. Comedian, aka Louise Thompson. I'm not sure if I'm Secret Service agent number 1 or if Lori's number 1, but Lori Bussey. They have put their heart and soul into training these dogs and these teams. They wear their heart on their sleeve. They're not afraid to show it. They're not afraid of people knowing how much love they have for their job. They take their job very seriously, most of the time, at least. I would be lying if I'd say the last 3 weeks have been nothing but very serious hard work. Very serious, right? All of us. No laughing. But you take these instructors, you add this group. Yeah. I did not say it, Jeannie. There's been many occasions for laughing, giggling, even crying from laughing so hard. But there's been a lot of aha moments. They work together to overcome fears, building new relationships with the people and their dogs. They've regained confidence that was once lost. The light-hearted environment that Louise and Lori and Katherine, I haven't forgotten about you, that they've created for these people is truly amazing. So Katherine Russell, I'm going to make her stand because you need to know this face for later. Although she has filled the role of class instructor's assistant and my right-hand woman this month, but this will be her last month playing that role as she soon begins her apprenticeship as an instructor. In theory, I'm supposed to communicate to Katherine when I need stuff done, but, well, it was already done before I even realized I needed to ask Katherine that it needed to be done. So she kept us on task and things moving smoothly, which is foreverly. Yes, we greatly missed her when she was not here. We had to remember to go pull up the vans. Like, why aren't they there? Oh yeah, Katherine's off today. She is the one to look for later on for the kennel tour. Now to these teams that sit before us. I usually try to come up with words that sum up the group. For you, are you scared, Shelby? I have determination, confidence, supportive, and family. Class is stressful in and of itself. 3 weeks away from your home, your family, your friends, your normal routine. Learning to work with a guide dog. We give you lots of information to learn, to keep you moving with long days of training. Now add in the fact that life is not put on hold while you're here. There's days that you get good news from home. There's days that you get bad news from home. It takes a special person to push past bad news that all you would really like to do is be there and be home. More so, it takes a tremendous group of people to be there for their fellow classmates and support them through difficult times. You guys are a special group. You have forged friendships that will last a lifetime. From your first Rocky workouts a couple weeks ago to conquering Manhattan just a couple of days ago. You will all leave here tomorrow with a new level of independence and regained confidence. So without further ado, we will present your graduation certificates. Nico, Avayotis, and Pearl. Vanessa Rosado and Riley. Deirdre Maxwell and Cappy. Allie Farnsworth and Claire. Ken Fernald and Winnie. Shelby Edwards and Cole. Rob Monroe and Andy. Rick Ross and Leon. And Jeannie Tirado and Felipe. Congratulations to you all. And now to wrap things up, for the first time, I'm going to introduce a puppy raiser for closing announcements and remarks, Dave Jolly.
So I was told I was supposed to bring some comments here about what it's like to raise puppies from our perspective. I found that I wrote a whole speech here, but it's already been said, but I'm going to say it anyway. So just as my name is David Jolly, I'm from the Bay region in Maryland, and we've raised Pearl, and we're just so proud of her. She's she kind of raised herself for us, so that's didn't really have to do a whole lot. She was just the perfect dog, the one that you really want to raise, because from the very beginning she's going to make it, unless there's something really weird goes along. All right. So I was asked to do this. Carrie said, "Would you do this talk? And since you're a serial raiser, we'd love you to do this." And so I had to think about that for a second. The word serial is normally associated with some kind of pathology that you throw somebody in jail for, So I was like, so that took me for a little bit of a loop, but I want to come back to that for a moment after a bit. So we'll talk about that for a second. Pearl is our fourth pup, and we're currently raising our fifth pup, Joya, right now. Our first one, Jenny, she hated college. She's our pet. She's at home now. She's our personal comfort dog now. That's her job. That's perfect. Annie is working as a guide dog in Portland, Oregon, and Myrtle is working in the Reed Academy for Autistic Children in New Jersey. And we're just that was the perfect job for her. It seemed like that solved a lot of problems for her. She was just really sits well in that job. So we hope to be back here in about a year when Joya's done. We'll see. This is actually what we do this for, this raising stuff. The dogs are wonderful, but it's really watching them grow up and then seeing what they can do for the graduates and how they can, do exactly what we've heard about from them today. Give them the independence, the ability to meet people. And this is kind of where I'm just going to be rehashing old comments here. So how did we get started in this thing? Well, we kind of got started, heard this a couple of ways earlier today too. My youngest daughter wanted a puppy, and we're like, nah. So my wife then sees an ad in the newspaper that says, have a puppy for a year, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's the perfect solution. Okay, we'll give it a try. Well, so it turns out that my daughter wasn't so interested in raising the puppy, but my wife and I got hooked on it. So we're here forever, and we're going to be doing this over and over again. This is the theme that I've heard so many times. We didn't raise our pups by ourselves. I've heard the phrase, it takes a village, 5 or 6 times today. I only put that in. I had that in my line, but now I'm putting it in as I've heard it so many times today. Okay. All right. So, but there's really a dedicated team to every puppy. There's the raiser, and then, but outside of that, we don't raise them in a vacuum. Associated with every region is a GEB employee that shows us exactly what they want us to do and how to do it, and that keeps us all on track. And on side of that, there's every person in the region is involved in raising each pup. We have to swap pups on a regular basis to make sure that they're not getting just associated with us. And we go to class and we trade dogs in class and all that. You all raisers all know this, but it's essential that these dogs be raised by this village so that when they go off to the next graduate, they're ready to go. Of course, Lisa Nato is the dog itself, is really important in this raising. And as I said earlier, Pearl just kind of raised herself. She was the perfect pup from the very beginning. I need to make a shout out in this case, in my region in particular. Cindy Tate has really been the person that's most strongly dedicated to this program than anybody. the person we should all wish to emulate as far as dedication. She's really been the driving force to our region for as long as we've been there and longer than that. On top of that, we see that there's 8 dogs here, 9 dogs here today, and there's 7 that are home trained. So GEB graduates well over 100 dogs every year. That means there has to be hundreds of dogs in the pipeline all the time. And this means that there's not just our Bay region, but there are 39 or 40 regions that are all dedicated to raising these pups. And you know, it's all over the eastern seaboard, from Maine to North Carolina and as far west as Ohio. It's all so incredibly important to make sure this all works. All right, so I view our part as analogous to homeschooling. You know, we get this pup and we're going to get it from the time that's before it's potty trained, and we're going to take it all the way up through a mature adult. So that's kind of the equivalent of going from like kindergarten through high school. The curriculum is standardized. We have to do a mix of obedience and socialization and stuff there, so that's all fine. And there's plenty of opportunity to play. And so this is where I would need to say about stuff about Pearl's unique characters, right? Pearl was quite the athlete. She loved to play fetch all the time. So you could just throw a ball out there and she would bring it back to you. And she wanted to play fetch to the point where she would just drop the ball in your lap to make sure that you would throw it again. If she just dropped it on the floor, you wouldn't pick it up. So here. So then we would take her out on our boat, throw a floating ball out there in the water, and she'd just leap out there. You know, it's 10, 15 feet out into the water. You know, it was so much fun to watch her grow up. But, you know, outside of that, she was also a fast swimmer. So after she landed, she would swim so fast, you could actually see her body rising out of the water a little bit, you know. And then she'd come back and drop the ball on and let us do it again. When we got bored with it, she would start to play fetch by herself. She'd bring the ball up on the platform, nudge it off with her nose into the water, and sit there and watch it as it drifted away. And then when it got far enough away, she'd leap after it and grab it and come back and swim after it again. So that it was, you know, that's just one of the things. She entertained herself when we weren't there. So then after all this, you know, we send them back up here for what I call actual doggy college, right? They take an exam, they then go to actual dog college and learn actually the trade of guiding, which we don't have much idea about, but we do see the end results and how important they are. Our first dog we started Annie about the time that my oldest son went off to college. So I have to give him a hard time all the time. It's actually my first guide dog that graduated and earned a job before he did. I also want to add on to this thing about dogs being a great way to meet people. You know, we do need this constant input of volunteers, the constant turn. More volunteers are always needed, right? I find that dogs are the greatest ambassadors for this ever. Just a little bit about my own personality. My children, you know, in a sarcasm way, gave me a T-shirt that I like to wear that says, "You read this T-shirt, that's enough social interaction for today." All right, well, so that actually says probably a lot about all of us dog people, right? We're dog people. But yet, when I have my dog with me, I meet so many out at the park, at the grocery store. We take the dogs wherever we go. And it's, you know, it's pretty obvious to the most casual observer even that the dog is special. Part of it is probably the bright blue vest that says "Guiding Eyes for the Blind" on it. But the other is they're extremely well behaved in the most crowded of environments, or maybe I'm just talking to them like, you know, like they're going to take me away to the nut house afterwards or whatever. But regardless, it starts the conversation. The dog is what begins the conversation always. They're very visible, and everybody wants to say, wow, what are you doing with the dog? So that's, are you training them? And I was like, well, I prefer to say we foster them until they're old enough to learn, and mature enough to get the actual training that it takes to do this. We do the simple training, the simple obedience, the socialization, take them out on long walks so that they can get around people, dogs, not chase the squirrels at the park, not to bark at the Canada goose that just flew in front of them, or even to ignore that luscious chicken bone that's on the sidewalk. That's the really hardest part, by the way. Then the next question is always, after I explain to them what my dog is, or where they will be, how do you give them up? There's only one answer. What you see in front of you today, what they can end up doing. And it's an amazing product. Well, and then the conversation might even get interesting. So what does it take to learn how to raise? And then I get to explain everything about what we do as Guiding Eyes volunteers. And this, half of that turn into an exchange of a phone number somewhere, call Cindy. She was going to start the class next week, please come join us. And pretty soon we have a new volunteer. Like I said, the greatest dogs, the greatest ambassadors are our dogs. I do want to emphasize, though, that what we do as raisers, I hate to call training per se, but we do provide that initial foundation that provides for their eventual training. The training is actually done here, the real guide dog training by the trainers and the professional trainers that know exactly what to do, when and how to give them these incredible amounts of skills that they need to work as a guide dog. So, like I said, now we take them off to college, right? What's the one thing, you send your own child off to college, what is it you want to hear about? What their days were like, what they're learning, et cetera, et cetera. We all live for those letters that Guiding Eyes sends us. We get about 5 or 6 during their training cycle. The first one is just having a great time. Met a lot of dogs. There's a lot of things to go on. Then there's the progress reports, a little indication about what they're learning, followed by the personalized comment or two about how our dog is doing with those skills. Those are wonderful letters. Thank you so much for sending them. It's the little mental leap for joy when you see that dog and see that letter coming from Guiding Eyes. All right, so I forgot to answer one of my questions about why I do this as a serial raiser. How can you give them up? Well, I don't really view them as giving them up, but rather to sending them to college. That's how I view it. And then they get a job and they're productive members of society. Well, and then how else do I give them up? Well, that's when I get Cindy on the phone and say, when can I start the next one? I'm actually proud in that respect to be a serial raiser. All right, I am hooked and I will be back even after Joya. Thank you so much. I have a couple of housekeeping items to make. There are refreshments in the dining room outside the door of Alumni Hall. Turn left, then right. Puppies are available for autographs in the grooming room at the door of Alumni Hall. Turn left and follow the puppy sounds. The souvenir shop across the hall is open. Knock yourself out with the cutest stuffed labs ever. Kennel tour will be in about a half an hour. One of the kennel staff, which I assume is you, will come calling when it's time to go. Okay, and then the last comment to all the raisers, I'm sure you're eager to visit with your dogs, that please don't rush the stage. Give them the time, give the graduates the chance to get the dogs out of harness so you can meet and greet properly, and most of all, ask them first so that everybody's prepared and ready to go. All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much. you. Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah.